concept. You have a great concept. You guys are doing it, man. And it's an honor for me to just be, you know, a small rock, man, in your mountain. I'm going to pop a top in your honor.
Mr. Doc Walker blessed us with his presence and knowledge.
We want to welcome in our next special guest, Haley Skarupa. She's a three-time world champion in women's ice hockey and most recently won Olympic gold with Team USA.
The Cap Stadium Series is definitely my favorite, obviously. I'm a huge Caps fan, I always have been, and to be there at that game with my teammates and for us to bring, you know, our gold medals to there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support and it's been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you can feel that there at that game.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network.
And welcome to episode 365 of Sports on the Hill podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I see a friend is actually trying to rate us, but she has not existed for more than 30 days. So I don't know how to change that setting. I was trying to figure out how to do that really quickly. Basically, it's a safety precaution to not let bad bots raid you, which totally makes sense. But she's a good person and a person that I like a lot and would like to allow for her to be able to raid me. But I'm just trying to look through right now. Permissions, raid permissions, allow raid, minimum, 10 days. I found it. Save changes. Nope, I'm gonna approve that. So yeah, it's don't do that. That's how you get bot rated. I'm like, no, I'm gonna allow for it. Okay, it should work now. Willie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me know. So hopefully, I don't know if you're still in stream. If you are, you can say hi again. But maybe that fixed it, and if not, it's no big deal. She can always raid me when she reaches whatever the amount of days it was. But it should work at least going forward for that. And so thank you everyone for being a part of it. Let me see right here. We're gonna go to the main screen and bring everybody in. So now you get a visual, and you got Anna, Gil, and myself. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button when we went live. At least people could hear me, I hope. And we fixed that problem from last week, which was always fun. But thank you, Carly and Lobas Guy, so we got Anna joining us, and we got Gil as well. And so thank you to the mods. Thank you, Carly, for the resub. I appreciate that. So I think it was was it 48 months? I don't know. It was some crazy large number. Let me see here if I can pull it back up. 46 months. 46 months. It's still wild. Almost 4 years. Hopefully. Hopefully everyone's doing okay on this evening. I was gonna put on Raw, but I decided so much chaos in this world. I'm just gonna actually do a stream where I just talk to you guys, and I'm not watching something else, which is refreshing for once. There was an event called the Super Bowl yesterday, which was the most boring of football game I've watched in a very long time. But I'm happy that the Eagles won. We talked about it last week. I did not want the three-peat. I definitely feel like the NFL felt that for 2 weeks people were complaining about the narrative, and so they just didn't let the refs interfere at all and let them play it out. I thought that it was actually a well-officiated game for the most part. And with that, it was good. Well, thank you so much for the subscription. Low Base Guy is a streamer on this platform, and he is actually the head of our different stream group. So I'm going to do a little shout out for him right now. He's a photographer who specializes in capturing invertebrates and reptiles and inspires others to appreciate and protect the misunderstood creatures, and the founder of the Web Creative Community, which is the group that I'm a part of, which I love because it's a group of artists that stream on Twitch that like to do photography and and they've let me include videography. And if you watched the opening, hopefully the audio was good today. I showed a little bit of my latest uh, movie to actually an 8-part. I want to make part 9. I've been so busy, I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I do have the footage. And so, but thank you for the resub. I really appreciate that. And for tuning in. And I want to do a couple of quick news and notes, and then we'll get into the Caps talk. One thing is this has been an audio podcast for 9 years. I think going forward, this might be the last season that we're going to do the thing on Spotify. Spotify has done some shady things over the last couple of years. I do love that it's free that I give it to them and they then put it on all the other platforms. But I don't know if I love being in bed with them with some of their practices over the last couple of years. And so I've decided, I know that we have podcast in the name of what we do. I don't necessarily think it means it always has to be an audio podcast associated with it. I think video podcasts have very much become a thing in the last 5 years. People can watch YouTube, they can watch VODs on demand, they can watch it on Kick on demand, they can watch it on our Facebook group on demand. So they have 4 locations to get it, and they can watch some of the visuals that I've now grown and built to be part of this. And I think it's a better experience, to be honest. And they can just listen to the audio. They don't have to watch. They can turn off the video screen. You can do that on Twitch and other platforms as well. So if they want to just listen to it, which is great. And I so much appreciate, one of the things about this podcast is most of our views and listens come on the next day or the next couple of days because it's so late at night, which I totally understand. So I just wanted to let people know, and I will let people know in the next couple of weeks too, that for this month and for March and for, up until spring break, I will continue to do it. But the end of season 9, I think we're going to finally finish the audio podcast and people can just watch the YouTube video I can put up on the website the next day. It's very quick and it's a lot faster. And I think it'll make me want to continue to do this for years to come. And they've made it such a grind to do it the other way. So I appreciate all 25 listeners last week on the audio podcast. In fact, the previous 2 weeks hadn't been updated, so I apologize for that. They are now uploaded, but it does take time, and it makes me appreciate all the people that do put the work in, like these 2 people that are with me tonight that have done it now with us for so many years. And the last thing I will say until we get into it, the last time the Eagles won, who was the next Stanley Cup champion, right? So maybe it's a flock of eagles. I don't know. What is a grouping of eagles called? But it's maybe the eagles fly together. I don't know what it is, but our mascot is also an eagle. I know that some Commanders fans probably don't want to think of it that way, but it is true. The slap shot is in fact an eagle, and so
A
maybe
screaming eagle.
a screaming eagle. In fact.
So that'll be our little difference.
Right. So, if they have to win another one for us to win another one, it's a trade that I'm willing to take. And
Yep.
I remind many of my fans of the Eagles that I rooted for them this time, and you can pay your turn and root for us in a couple of months. And we'll take your support then. So it's been a very exciting week for Caps fans. But Gil, I want you to let everybody know what's on the latest episode of the Power Play Point podcast. I'm going to share it to a couple of groups, and then we can get in with it.
Well, I'm old enough to remember a flock of seagulls. Does that count?
I knew I set you up for that.
Only if you bring the hair back, y'all.
Yeah, maybe. So this week's episode is our Super Bowl special. I don't know if you'll find it all that special. We kind of go through everything a bit rapid fire, all 3 games. There were some bumps. There's some complaints that I have, of course. I mean, it wouldn't be my podcast without me complaining about stuff, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to complain about a team that is 10 points ahead of the next competitor in your own division, but still, there's things to work on. But I think they're in a good place in the break. Doors wide open if anybody wants to come on and debate me or tell me I'm full of it, or maybe you agree with me. I don't know, but doors still wide open. You want to come on week after next and talk it over. I'm with you. Let's have it.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful program, and I love that you guys break it down each week, just like we do here. And I'm gonna say hello to Anna. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Little on the struggle bus. I have to admit that Monday after the Super Bowl is it hurts.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's Monday. I think we're gonna get some snow days coming up, which is nice. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I think this break will be good for everybody. The players, wish we would have gone out with a win last night, but we when we talk about that, we'll cover our viewpoints very thoroughly as we usually do.
yeah, for sure. Let me see if I can get the screen share up. And we got the VLC player, and then I click this button. And I switch to our hockey scene. And there we go, like magic. This first game here back, I just shared to a bunch of different caps groups. And so hello to anybody joining us on Facebook. And it was a good start to the week for the Capitals. And Gil, I'll let you start it from there.
Okay, so this is the opening goal of the opening game of the week against Florida. It's a pretty good back and forth game. So as we pick up the action here, I believe, yeah, okay, so Ovi throws it around the boards to Dowd, who holds it. He throws it back around the boards, and Sandin picks it up, gets it over to Mangiapane, who's been chasing the puck this whole time, and he puts it in. And yeah, there you have it. Mangiapane, literal translation is eat bread, and we all know what happens to bread eventually. So a
That's pretty
little yeah, it's helpful. Yeah.
All right. So, sorry, I have so many screens up, and now I have bread staring me straight in the face. So, but yeah, it was a very good goal. I'm happy that we got the early lead in this one, especially against a very good Florida team who's the defending champions, so it's
Yeah.
somebody you can't take lightly. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
Oh, bread. Well, Gil and I talked yesterday that I thought, I should say we thought that this was the best of the three games. Definitely felt like the boys came out strong and played 60 minutes, which was fantastic. But for me, I really focused on who was scoring and a couple of names we hadn't said in a while. And so Mangiapane it was nice to say that name again yesterday and right now. And Nick Dowd. So I'm liking it. This was a good start for them. I think this is exactly what they needed to come out strong and and be first. So this was good. This was good to see.
Yes, I totally agree. All right, let's get into the next goal here by your favorite player, and I brought a prop.
Yeah.
I brought a prop.
Both my favorites.
So there you go. Because I didn't have it last week, and I felt very bad about it. I brought back the prop, and there's that. And all right,
Oh, Gil.
Gil, why don't you break this goal down?
Okay, so Caps are killing a penalty here. They've been killing it a lot lately. And yeah, it's actually Wilson with the pick here. So he gets the play started. Him and Protas go the other way. Protas holds it, and then finds it a space between Kachuk's legs and gets it over to Wilson, who puts it home for the 2-1 go-ahead goal.
Love that is between Chuck's legs. That guy's such a douche.
Yeah.
But I love this.
Yes, it's so good. Tom Wilson has such skills, and he's just, playing so great lately. It's really nice to see.
Definitely. And Gil, what did we figure out yesterday? That his highest season was 21-22 for 24 goals.
24 goals, and he's right on the edge of that. So his next goal will tie his career season high. And we're not even 60 games in.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much a lock to get 30, I think, barring something unforeseen happening.
I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah.
Don't curse my boy. I will come for you, Gil.
Yeah, really good stuff here. I love that it makes it 2-1. Unfortunately, Barkov ties it 2-2. Gets us into the third period here, where we got Lars Eller with this next goal, and Gil, take it from there.
So this is an example of the third line stepping it up this whole week. Love to see that. It's a scrum in the middle, and Eller pretty much takes it. Carlson picks up the turnover, gets it to Eller, and he takes it from center pretty much all the way in. Great individual effort here to put it away.
Yeah, some
100%.
great stuff here. Yeah. And really sort of sees some momentum in this third period, which we needed, being that it was just tied. And they had tied it going into the third, which is always, I feel like, a dangerous, whoever gets the next goal can sort of steal a little momentum. And so then the next goal here comes from Nick Dowd, his 11th goal, which is crazy how many goal scorers we have in double digits. But Nick Dowd gets in on the action with his 11th, and Gil, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, so the fourth line here, sort of. I'm not quite sure how Strome managed to end up with Dowd and Mangiapane, but there he is. He starts the play and gets it over to Mangiapane, who carries it all the way in and gets it over to Dowd, who managed to fight off two checkers and gets it in.
Yeah. What a great breakaway here. Just really showcases that he's got a lot of speed to sort of get the play started, and then I don't know, just impressive all around. Like I liked all the players that were committed to it and just going out wide and drawing people, and I don't know, it was just it was a good play all around. And Nick Dowd just has some great skills that I feel like people don't talk about him as much as players, right? But he's just such a solid guy all around. Anna, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way. I felt during this game, I was happy to hear Mangiapane, Eller, and Dowd. Those are the three that I love to hear, and then I love to hear, of course, there's my Tommy and Ovi scoring, but I kind of felt like what happened to Nick Dowd? We hadn't talked about him in a while, so it was good. It was good for him because I think that he has just mad skills and is quite the presence on the ice, and I love that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna keep on going. There's a lot of goals in this game, which is great. We got an empty netter here by Alexi Protas. So Gil, why don't you break down his ability to shoot from beyond the blue line?
Protas recovers the errant pass from that was attempted by Bennett. It was actually a successful pass. 23 turns it over, and Protas sends it 125 feet to the other end for the first of two empty netters. Florida kind of started things off early with the 6-on-5, but like you said, we got some guys who are good at long distance.
So it's kind of funny because I'll be honest, I turned it off. I did not think it was going to score with this little amount of time remaining, which because I was like doing two things at once, and I was like, oh, we got the empty netter. I kind of was like, we're good, right? And not to be outdone, we got Alexander Ovechkin here doing it with so little time remaining. He has to get it and get it across the line.
Mm-hmm.
Before it gets to zeros, and it was 0.1 second, right, or something like that.
1/10 of a second. 1/10 of a second exactly, which was all that was left.
Like only he could pull that off. I mean, legit.
Yeah, so
because
I had to go back.
I think when
I had to
we
go
all
back
saw
and
it,
that. Yeah, so I was like, I didn't expect it to happen, right? So I shouldn't, like, that's on me. But usually if you get the empty netter, it's like, oh, it's over. I can like focus on the other thing. I was like doing two things at once, right? So no. There's always a chance if with even 1 second or less, Ovi can do it. So 878 no longer just a crappy area code. Is that the Penguins area code?
Yes, it is.
oh, is it? Shut up.
Oh, the fact that I
Gil.
could guess that without knowing anything, just sorry, our
I
friendship.
know. Well, here I am. Like, I'm looking at all this stuff, and do you guys remember not so long ago, a couple years ago, when they used to do those like really cheesy Caps Valentine's Day cards?
Yes.
So, I mean, Gil,
Just-
like you may just have a little side hustle going on with some of these things.
yeah,
Maybe.
crazy. All right, Anna, what are some of your thoughts on the two empty net goals?
Yeah, but you can't. What is there to say? I mean, I absolutely loved it. I love the players. I love, you know what, that they didn't just say like, oh, hey, we're winning, like we gotta take the foot off the gas. So they kept going, and that Ovechkin goal, I mean, it's sick. I mean, truly like a 10. I thought it was
My dad
point
called me
zero
right
one.
afterwards. He's like, "Did you see that with less than 1 second?" I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, it just happened. The goal." I was like, "Wait, he scored with less
Yeah,
than 1 second?" And like, I went back. Luckily, I DVR every game. That's the benefit of YouTube TV. The disadvantage is you're 30 seconds behind the rest of the world, but the advantage is that I'm like unlimited recording space, so I'll record every Caps game from now on, right? So,
right. Well, and
um,
it was crazy because I also was listening to Joe Beninati, explain how it's not like basketball, and it has to cross the line and everything. And as you're watching just that aerial shot, and
yeah,
it's like, oh my God, how does that, here's the clock, and here, how does that happen? But for this one,
yeah,
uh nothing surprises me anymore. It's amazing.
yeah. Um,
It was a
Greg.
good win.
Greg says the audio is not working on the huh. I hear myself when I click it. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can respond to him.
It's not working on Facebook, or
Yeah,
is it
that's
something different?
he said it was on Facebook, so that's why I wanted to double check, but I did just hear it, so but um
So Gil, now I know why you said you were so tired, because you're putting all this like creativity juice into
exactly.
these
Um
slides, these moments.
yeah, for
Good
sure.
job, Gil.
Thank you.
Um So yeah, no, he's killing it with these. That's why I'm trying to do it justice. Oh wait,
Oh,
oh there's more. There's
no.
more. I didn't let it go far enough. All right, Ahmed, why'd
Oh,
you have to chuck it so fast? Uh,
mm, that might
Sorry.
be on my want list,
uh,
but it
fan-
makes sense, and we all hate
it
Matthew.
is pretty funny. Um, I love
That
it. The
face.
actual scene too of him doing it too, which is
I, I,
pretty great. Just to get that face in there. It definitely seems very memeable. So I like how he's got his tongue sticking out too. It's very Jordan.
Yeah,
So,
right?
but
I stumbled across that picture online. I couldn't resist.
no,
No,
I'm
good.
happy you didn't. Get that's one of the reasons why I feel like the audio podcast doesn't do this show justice anymore because we can have fun video gags. But I'm like, if you're listening, you're like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Uh,
Whose tongue is out and why?
Right, exactly. All right. Well, Ovi gets us started on the goal in the next game too. We unfortunately are down 1-0 when this happens to the Flyers, who I always feel play us very tough no matter what the situation is. I think it's one of those teams that just always matches up in a very gritty. Because I think that one of the things we do so well is our physicality, and it's something that like a Tortorella-led team is always going to lead in physicality, right? He's
Hmm.
never going to let you outwork him, like you know. And so, unfortunately, right? So I think that's kind of where he is as a coach, right? And so, but at least here we're in white now. You can see Ovechkin gets the first goal of the game in the final minute. Which, by the way, I got these nuggies, so thank you, Ovi. So I will give a shout out to that. I needed food on the way home, and I was like, "Oh shit, free nuggets.
There you go.
There you go. So,
And I guess if it's free, then it's like then you don't think about what it is that you're eating.
well,
You're
I
just like,
mean, you
shit,
had
who
to buy
cares?
one other thing, but Liz was with me, so we just bought like a simple burger for her, and I got a
Yeah.
free nuggies, and I'm like, there you go.
And you
Like,
know, if you you dip it in something, you're just like, who cares? Yum.
fine,
Thanks, Sophie.
exactly. All right, with that, why don't you break down this OV goal to get me my nuggets?
Okay, so play starts in this end. Ovi actually starts it, shoots the pass, the stretch pass to Strom, who holds it at the line, hands it off to Faravari. Great pass by him between the defense, and Ovi does what he does in the slot. And yeah, so let's see that again. And bang, yeah, there he is. There he goes,
Yep, so there you go.
right in there. And yeah, let it roll. And
Yep.
yeah, go ahead and let it roll.
Okay.
And he's coming for you.
Right.
He's coming for
It's a
you.
little.
And it was at 1907, and as you noticed, it's the magical McNugget minute, as I like to call it. And of course, with Ovi scoring the goal, it's also the benefit of half price pizza. So any of you who enjoy Papa John's, you had the pleasure of that as well.
Right. Some people put the nuggets on the pizza. I've heard this move. Right.
I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
if I was in college and throwing some back, I would probably be like, that sounds amazing. Right now, it's one or the other. I don't know if I can put them together.
Right. And any more thoughts on this goal?
No, just the loving watching history in the making. I don't know if I'm liking this pick so much. At least it's the close up, and it's not like of the the tooth gone and.
Yeah,
Or like,
exactly.
could it go into some deep hole or something?
Right.
Although now I'm probably giving Gil some ideas, so who knows?
Exactly. It's dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. I'll set myself up for that one. But no, anytime this one scores and it's good to see Faravari up there too.
Um, and so low base guy says, now I want McNuggets. It's true. I should get sponsored. No,
And I will say the sweet and sour sauce, yes,
yeah.
or hot mustard.
Yeah,
I
I'm
could be
in.
convinced.
Yeah, actually, the one the closest to where I work was just renovated. I walked by and I was like, "Whoa, that's McDonald's!" Looked completely different than it did 2 weeks ago. Oh, yeah. So they're trying at least. All right. So then the next goal here is by Connor McMichael, and I'll let Gil take this one away.
Caps get a temporary lead here. Charlie Lindgren, of all people, gets the play started, dishes it to Chikrin, hands it off to McMichael. Another great individual effort here. He brings it across, backs it up to Protus, and then McMichael just picks up the garbage here. Great garbage goal by him to kind of get the last second deflection past the goalie here for the Flyers. The big Russian goalie, who I'm surprised they managed to get 4 against here, but here they are. But yeah, great goal by McMichael here. I really love to see him go to the net. Wish he'd do it more often.
Yeah, it's just a kind of a crazy angle too, right? Was this the one that was at the like he's like behind the net, right? When he scores this?
He had a foot behind the goal line. Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive because
Yeah.
not a lot of room to work with back there. So
No.
yeah. So Anna, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Levin, again, we've talked about Mangiapane, we've talked about Eller, talked about Dowd, and let's finish it off with McMichael. Another name, another powerhouse I want to see more often. I think after the break we definitely will. And this is a little confidence boost that this kid needed. And God, and how do you just not love Chikrin? My God, he's everywhere, and I love that. So like Gil and I talked about yesterday, it's like, please sign him.
Yes, yeah, as quickly as possible now that
Please.
we know the
Yeah.
numbers. That was my whole rationale week of like why we hadn't done it yet. It was because we didn't know
Yeah.
the numbers. But now like, Gil and Janaea gave such a great breakdown of the numbers last week. If anyone missed that on what the salary cap is going to rise to, all that. And so this, I'm now remembering, Connor is behind the goal line pretty much, and he just taps it. It's a great stick on it, and how he gets it to go the opposite corner with a deflection, it's just an incredible eye-hand coordination to be able to just pop it up and over like that. There's nothing a goalie can really do in that situation.
Right.
got to shift. He has to hug that post because it's an easy goal for him otherwise. And so, yeah, kind of crazy stuff there for sure. The next one was Lars Eller gets a goal, and yeah, this one. Well, I'll let Gil break this one down.
So Caps get a little sloppy, find themselves behind, so they're in need of a boost here. So third line again steps up at a critical moment. Radish and Eller playing catch a little bit at the circle, and they call him a Tiger for a reason because he's got that intensity when it's needed the most. And here he is doing it again. So let's see that one more time. So Sandin kind of fighting off a check here, gets it back to Radish, and then Eller from the left circle to put it in.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna go zoom in right here, so you can sort of see it and hold it here. So he's coming around the circle and just shoots it through two guys, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, here with the video, I was kind of looking for a shot of a Tiger who was going to go like that. See if I could scare the heck out of anybody, but I couldn't. This is the closest I could find.
Yeah. All right, Anna, save us with your analysis of the Tiger.
I know. I don't know. I don't know if I can top some of these because I'm thinking he's going to go like hardcore or he's going to go like Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger!
Right?
Also,
I was like, it's going to be
was...
one of two things where he's like, I'm scared shit out of you. And it's going to be like, they're great. And,
the goals are great. I was waiting for that too. All right. But anyway,
come on, Gil.
Page.
But again, this is the momentum that we need to see from our Tiger. Yes. Back-to-back games, back-to-back goals. And I do think that he's another one like McMichael that's going to come back from the break and we're going to be saying his name more consistently. And Radish, I like it. Want to see more.
Yeah. I couldn't I'm so happy he's back. I'm just sorry. I was so flustered seeing him in a Penguins jersey when we
it was rough.
That game. That was
well,
really
and he
rough.
wasn't happy either.
Yeah, clearly, because and he was doing well on that team. He was one of their leading scorers actually at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm just so happy that they brought him back. And it's funny because everyone keeps talking about my issue. There's so many great players that have potential for call-ups, and then Gil, we're also gonna have to talk about one player that may have screwed up his future chances. I don't know if you,
I saw that.
We'll also maybe talk about that at the end.
I know the story.
Yeah. So, but we're not going to talk too much about prospects right now. But I don't know where you slot them in today's Capitals. Like, I understand having them as black aces, pretty much bringing other people along for the ride. But I don't know, even with the greatest college goal scorer right now, I don't know if you throw him into this situation and potentially, mix up the chemistry. Like, unless you see things differently, Gil, do you see a line where some of these young guys would slot in right now?
Well, I think the one prospect that is closest to walking on the ice, being a walk-on right now, and joining the team right from the get-go is Ryan Leonard.
You think he could still?
He might. There's an outside, and I think he would fit nicely on that third line. But I don't know. Maybe you do make him a black ace, and maybe you do, get him acclimated to at least kind of watch and see, watch and learn type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I'm a big chemistry guy. I do not want to see anything disrupted. I've seen it happen before where they bring in somebody new and it upsets everything so badly, throws everything so far off that there's no going back. And I think that's what happened in 2010, at least among other years.
Well, and I think I'm excited, pumped for a Ryan Leonard to come on. Absolutely. But I'm not personally, not that anyone's asking,
No, I
coach, but I would be nervous to put him out there because big difference between where we're playing, in Boston or college or whatever, and the
if
NHL.
we were the bottom of the league team and we're just trying to spark some things and trying to do some things, I feel very differently than being the top
100%.
in the East, right? And it's funny because I read a lot of people calling for things like that. And I'm just like, no,
Yep.
like you'd have, I would need to see a big dip in performance or something big for me to want to make that sort of a call at this point. Because I'd get scared that he jumps on his team, he might not know how to act and react. Like,
Right.
have him be around the team a little bit, get used to them because he's not the top dog anymore, and he always has been, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to take
Little
some,
humble pie.
yeah. Like I
But
remember
I
first day I
sorry.
went to college and I had to eat humble pie because I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and
Mhm.
that's why I was even remotely willing to root for the Eagles because I've lived there for 5 years. And day one, they asked like who was top student in your class, and everyone raised their hand, and you realize, oh shit, that doesn't mean anything anymore, right? And
Yeah.
so like he's the number one guy of this team, that he's
He's
been on, and every
the
team that
big
he's
fish in
been
the little
on.
pond, and now it's gonna.
He's going to be the lowest number on this team, and so if he can even get a spot to start, right? So,
Well, and
uh,
I think like I mean, at least I can say when Gil and I have done our shows in the past, I've always been about chemistry and consistency. And I think those two things go so well together with the team. And, when you're starting to see um, the vets scoring consistently, and then you're getting, the younger, the McMichaels, and that just shows that chemistry and that respect. And I think, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it.
yeah, for sure. Anyway, some things that we can talk about as the year goes on, but we're right before a pretty big break. Gil, are you? I haven't asked you this. Are you excited about this tournament? Is it something that you're going to be watching?
No, no,
No.
nope.
Okay. Fair. Janaea seemed amped by it, and so I
Yeah,
personally have zero
yeah,
interest in it.
yeah. She and I could not be on even more polar opposites of this thing.
Yeah, interesting.
I do not spend. I said this on this most recent episode of ours. I'll say it again. I do not plan on spending a single solitary second watching or even reading about coverage of that tournament. I could care less. Could not care less.
Can I ask why? Is there something they could have done differently?
It's manufactured bull crap that the league is forcing down our throats. It's they keep saying best on best. Okay, fine, it's best on best, but it's not really best on best. How can you have best on best when the best players from the best team are nowhere to be found? Some of the best teams are left off completely. Four nations, okay, really? There's other nations that boast very good hockey teams. Russia, for one. Switzerland has a very good hockey team. Czechia does. Slovakia does. Where are they? I have a lot of problems with this whole tournament, but not the least of which is, again, Gary Bettman thinks this is good for hockey, for exposure, and is waving dollar signs in front of his own face and expects us all to like it. That's what I hate the most.
Yeah, I think I'm going to join you and not watch it, but I will. If Janaea does watch it and wants to come on in 2 weeks and talk about it, I will let her have airtime for it.
Please
And I will
do.
put a piece of duct tape over my mouth during that segment.
That is fair.
There's nothing worse than, like I said, I told Gil
I
yesterday.
actually think it might be a very good segment now, based on everything I just heard. But anyway, so the anti and the
Because
pro.
I won't be saying.
Yes, that would be a good little.
Thank you, Anna.
Oh boy.
All good. Now, I do have to ask on a lighter note, now that I'm staring at the screen. I am dying to know, Mr. Gill,
Yes.
what you would do if Radish scores. What's that graphic going to look like?
Well, if he scores at some point, whenever, you'll find out.
Yeah. You got my wheels like spinning on that one. So it'd be like cute, like, when you go to IKEA and you're like, oh, that's a random stuffed animal. Is that a radish? Kind of awkward, but it's cute. I don't know. I'm just, we got the tiger, we've got, superhero stuff, we got this, and then I'm like, then you got a radish. Now I need him to score because it's going to be my curiosity.
Well, we don't have a Radish goal here. I'm sorry.
No.
We do have a Jacob Stitchman.
We have another Radish
though.
assist.
Right,
Yeah.
there you go. All right, Gil, why don't you break down this one that actually gave us the win?
Here we
Yeah.
are. So yes, a third line getting it done again. So as you can see, Frank behind the net actually starts the play, gets the cycle going over to Chikrin, then to Radish, then to Carlson, back to Chikrin, who eventually puts it in here. But watch this puck movement around the horn here, literally around the horn.
Mhm.
What this is great. And then Eller and Frank both setting the screen enough so that to give Chikrin time to find an open area for the goal. Just this is hockey right here. This right here is classic hockey to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has got such a crazy snapshot. It reminds me, especially the location and a lot of the actions of an Ovechkin goal, right? In
Yeah.
that sort of similar area, just creeping towards his is a little bit lower, closer to the goal, but in that still in the dot, taking extended and just is
It's
able
a
to
bullet.
rip it. And yeah, just crazy accurate.
I had
Yeah.
heard awesome things about his shot. Never seen it. Him being in Ottawa, and the former Phoenix team.
Right.
So basically, hockey Siberia. So never got to actually see him. Now that I've seen him, it's like, well, where you been all my life?
Yeah.
Wow, just and him and Carlson, who can both
Good.
bring it, lethal.
He
I
kind of
love
reminds me
this.
of like almost like a Knuble or a Brooks Light kind of guy, one of those sort of hard edge, but he's got this great shot, and I don't know, I like his personality. He seems to fit in well with the team,
He
and
Yeah.
does.
yeah, so reminds me of
Yeah.
some of those caps that I used to love in those ranks, and it's just I don't know. I like that the whole team is playing together, and we're getting goals from all different positions, and defenders, centers, wingers. I mean, everyone's chipping in. There's a reason why we're the top scoring, one of the top two, or the top scoring team in the East, and top two in the whole league, and it's easy to forget, and people are like it's all Ovechkin. I'm like, well, it's not, because like we have a lot of other goal scorers this year, which is great to see, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, for timing purposes, since it's already 9:50, I'm gonna go into the next goal. I also know how
Yeah.
much you love, Tom Wilson, and so we can always fast forward to a Tom
What?
Wilson
Who
goal.
said I love Tom Wilson?
And so
Oh, what freeze frame,
there you go.
babe.
Oh, he does, and it's still lightning.
Where do you? Yeah, Gil. I just.
I think that part kind of speaks for itself.
There you go. All right, Gil, break down the power play goal here.
Okay, so Caps are on a power play. Strome and Dubois playing the two-man game at the half boards. Strome brings it in, then he plays catch with Carlson, and then Dubois kind of half goes to the net here, and then dishes it to Wilson for the goal, and he just absolutely hammers it. I love this goal.
The bump set, and it reminds me of TJ Oshie, TJ Oshie's spot, and then
Yes,
up here, playing the part of Nick Backstrom, there is Strome,
Yeah.
plays it to a T, and then it's funny because Dubois is playing what Tom Wilson used to do down here,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So it's just interesting to see his game evolve and get more opportunities. I also want to point out we're playing Utah. This is our Super Bowl Sunday matinee, and the thing I text our group chat right before the puck drops is it's really awesome celebration for John Carlson, and sleepy start don't happen for this team. And the first two shots are
Yep.
goals against. I'm like, God damn it. Like I feel bad even putting that in the world, but I just felt it. Like it always happens. We celebrate the greatness, and he surely deserves it. John Carlson in front of a big TV audience, right? And celebrate all that he has done. He is now has the most points, by defenseman in our history, most goals, most assists. And just had 700 points, which is very rare to do as a defensive player for any in the NHL at all, but for one team, I think there is it 15 or 17 times or something like that. It's not very many. And so congratulations to him. But then just the first two shots are goals.
So
And
painful.
and like I don't know. Like
102 seconds in the game, they mess up the bed worse than 10 retirement communities.
But yeah, Thompson's been so good. So it's such a surprising moment. But he's gonna have these. He was, they keep on talking about it. He had like the longest point streak to start a season, but I guess it's continued, right? Like he got a point in this game.
Yes, he did.
Holy shit. So anyway, so like he keeps on. So I feel like he's making like the goalpost harder. Like I'm gonna give myself a 2 goal deficit to try to still get a point and salvage out of this one. But anyway, we're playing Utah, which we also started off slowly the last time against them, and then we put up a lot of goals as the game would go on. Luckily, that would continue for us in this one, at least until a shootout. But yeah, so I just wanted to set the stage a little bit because there's I love John Carlson, and B, I hate these weekend starts where we find ourselves in 2-0 holes. But I'm happy Wilson is able to slice it in half, as they kept on saying, which I proved to be very important because if we go down 3-0, I don't think we have a shot in this game. But Anna, what are some of your
Yeah, no, seeing Willie on there twice. I think when we talked last week, I believe, there was a lot of talk about him kind of stepping back into old Tommy, making, kind of stupid, errors, we'll say, and sin bin time and fighting and whatnot. I knew he would redeem himself, and I'm glad to see that he has done that in the first game against Florida, and then twice in this game. And he's, like you guys said, exactly where he needs to be, and is being consistent, and love the fact that he's just got one more to go to tie his personal high, 24 points, which is it was just amazing.
Wait a minute, he gets 24 in this. So is 24? Is he already tied?
No, this is 23.
You know what? Maybe he did tie it.
Oh, he did?
I forgot that he got 2 goals in this game.
That's what I'm like. I thought
this was the second one. So I'm looking at I'm sorry. You're right. So now he's tied. Oh, yay.
So he has tied his personal best.
That's
okay. So now it's 6 more to 30.
Wow. Yeah. Because that's what I thought earlier when you said that, but I was like, maybe it was 25 or
no,
maybe.
You're good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right, but we'll get to that goal in a bit. And then this one's an important one.
PLD.
Yeah, on another power play goal, which is proving to be very helpful, for us. But Utah scored before, right? Yeah, so they're up.
Yes, they did. They made it 3-1.
Yeah, which
at
sucks.
This point.
And it's a lot of goals being scored in a very short period of time here. But we got a PLD goal right here. Gil, take it away.
Okay, so a lot of moaning and groaning about the Caps power play recently, but they really made it happen here. Second one of the game. Strome and Carlson doing what they do best. And then that is
yeah, no, I went back.
Oh, okay. So so here's the goal. And is PLD just forcing his will in the crease area, and this getting it back to Strome here, and then okay, so Ovechkin must have started. Okay, there he is with the puck and flirting with the shot here, and you can't really see it, but through this graphic, but he manages to get. I think he put a shot on net, and then it hit Wilson, I think.
Right, that's exactly what happened.
And then that's right. This is the one where
he sticks it in.
PLD is kind of turns around and stuffs it into the net.
Right. So what he does is he picks it up behind the goal almost. He's like behind the goal, and he grabs it with his stick and weaves it around the goaltender and in, because he sees that the goalie is down and out, but not against the post. Right.
That's right. So, this is the one where Ovechkin hits the shot from a really hard shot from the top of the circle, and it hit the goalie Ingram.
And he hit it
in the chin of the mask. It hit him square right here.
I couldn't even imagine.
He was out of it for the rest of the game.
Wait, no. This one goes off of Wilson, and then they snake it around. Then Ovechkin's next shot knocks him out, I think.
Well, so the Ovechkin shot resulted in a goal. I'm pretty sure it was this one.
Right, that's true. But I thought that the thing that knocked him out of the game was on the next shot that Ovechkin did.
You may be right.
So here, I can figure it out actually. So
Well, I'm at the mercy of the app here, who they love they love their Energizer Bunny commercials.
uh,
Big surprise.
so that goal happened at 12:38. So that would mean it's 7 minutes and 22 seconds in, right? So did the goalie have more than that amount of time? Yes, he had 12 minutes and 38 seconds. So
Okay,
it was like
so yeah,
it
I'm
was
watching the replay. I'm watching the replay of the next goal, and yeah, Vamelka is in the net for that one.
right.
Ingram got
You know what
removed
I'm
after,
saying,
so
so
Ingram
that's
got removed after the second goal.
right,
So
right.
this had to have been the goal because
No,
he got
no,
removed. Ingram was removed after a goal.
Ovechkin had three shots on goals in this period. The first one was this one. The second one knocked him out. The third one was relative to the next goal. Because there's 12 minutes. The goalie's played 12 minutes and this goal happens before the 12 minutes into the.
Okay, well we'll see. I'm pulling up the PLD goal.
Because I think there was a shot in between that he saved, but knocked him out of the game. It wasn't the one that was a goal that knocked.
I think
12.
this one's at
I
12:38.
for some reason I remember it being after a goal. Okay, so I've got the replay. They're scrubbing.
Oh wait, maybe you
It,
are.
yeah, it's
You're,
definitely that
you're,
one.
you're
It's
right. Okay.
definitely that one.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now. I miscounted. Yeah. So it was, but so it knocked him out, and then they scored a goal on him because he was dazed. Is that the issue?
Yeah, well, so Ovechkin. So if we follow the graphic here, that shot there, that movement there, that was
Yeah.
the one that hit him in the chin.
Got it.
And then
Brutal.
Ingram had enough wherewithal to lunge toward Dubois, but Dubois managed to get around him anyway. But then after that, he was like, "Oh, the trainer came out. Trainer jumped over the boards. He saw it immediately. And then after a few minutes, they pulled him.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I think Greg's saying that you're right. So I should always listen to Greg, which I'm happy you have audio again. Um, and welcome in to other people in chat. Sorry if I didn't see you. I see Bold Contrast is in here as well. And I wanted to give a shout out to Champ, who did raid in a little while ago as well. I said hi in chat, but I do appreciate the raid. And he is on standby with Arun for us to talk about it. But we'll get to them in just one moment. We're almost done here. We got, do you have any thoughts on this, Anna, before we get into the final
I
goal?
don't know. I think we're good.
And
I,
all right, so the next one is done by Dylan Strom, and I'll let Gil break it down.
Okay, so Caps fall behind again by 2, and this is vintage Strom right here.
yeah.
To get himself in a position, he's underrated for his. He's not the most physical guy, but he's also not afraid to mix it up either. And if you're wondering why this graphic, why this part of the video, he can recall just about any fact and or figure about any recent game you want to ask him. And he'll just whip it off right off the top of his head. So he's kind of a professor that way. But yeah, let's call up the replay here. So it's McMichael to Ovechkin to start it, and he holds it, and he's at the top of the circle. And the thing about Ovechkin is he's always a threat to shoot from the top of the circle. So when he's got it, he's always going to attract at least one or two bodies. And then Strom does his best to pick up the garbage, gets in that dirty area, and puts it away.
Right, and it's almost like a crossing pattern in football, if you will. You know, him and they're crossing right here at the center of the goal mouth, which leaves a bunch of defenders all jammed together, right? And so,
Yeah.
And now I've hit it too many times and I've frozen it. All right, let me start that again. Anyway, so that's a really good. And any more thoughts on Dylan Strom? I like how he cuts across and he gets it. This one's the one really zero angle. He's almost behind the net by the time he puts it in.
Yeah, I have love Strom, and I love him even more after this game when he takes a puck to the knee and goes out and comes back, and and I believe he scored right after that had happened. What a
Yeah, that
badass.
happened. You're right. That happened a while before this, but yeah, it wasn't actually that long.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like that's gotta
I was
hurt.
really
Like
worried about
how,
it, but he's going to be out for the rest of the game.
It
Actually,
did
yeah,
not. Yeah, it did not look good.
you could tell on his face, and there were some words coming out that were I love when the cameraman, manages to like pan right there and it's like, what the? And then you just fill in the blank. But yeah, good to see him, and there we go with McMichael. Another, with an assist, which is great to see, hear his name in back-to-back games.
yeah. And then Tom Wilson ties it up with 18-29, which is pretty incredible. Another assist by Ovechkin, his 17th, and Carlson's 31st. And I'll let Gil break it down.
Okay, so that's best goal of the game, and well, um, you've heard the expression, well, put your back into it. Well, Tom Wilson put his foot into it, literally. So Ovechkin throws it at the net, uh, and it hit his skate blade. Now you're allowed to do this. He did not use a kicking motion, but he
Right.
turned his skate just enough so that
To
it changed
deflect.
the angle and went into the net. You are allowed to do that as long as you don't make what is in the rules as a distinct kicking motion, that is swing your leg back and push it with your foot. That's a kicking motion. He did not do that. He just turned his skate blade so that it bounced off it and in. That's what happened here.
Smart hockey.
And yeah, going with the superhero theme because the giveaway here was the Marvel based comic book with the caps. And yeah, so a fan of our show, Mike Livingston, I posted the question in between periods. If you had to list all the different caps as different members of the MCU, who would be what? Obviously, John Carlson, very famous for Captain America. Who would be who? And Mike listed a bunch of guys. I don't have time to dig it up here unless you really want to hear it. But he had Tom Wilson as Iron Man, so that's why.
I support that. Did we lose Robbie?
Robbie, I think you're muted.
You're right. I am muted. I thought I had muted myself. All right, but yes, I love what you were saying. I love Iron Man, so I think it's a good call out. And I did see that post in between periods, and so I like that post a lot. And yeah, so it ties it up 4-4. Some plays in overtime, but nothing too exciting. No goals to speak of. And then it goes to the shootout, and yeah, they get one goal, and we don't get any. And unfortunately, lose in the shootout, which I know Gil particularly loves. And so, we won't get too far into it, but it was a good effort to get a point. And I know some people were like, "Oh, don't tell me this loser point bullshit." I was like, "Well, you got 5 games in a row with a point, and 3 or 4 of them maybe we shouldn't have." And so like I'll take it. Like we
Yeah.
talk every week. Our goal is to get 4 points out of 3 games when we have it, right? We talk about that. If you can go at a 4 point clip every single week, you're in a good spot. You'll make the playoffs. You may even be atop of your division. And we've been able to do that almost every week for the last bunch of weeks. And I will take 5 points. I'm sorry we didn't get 6, but like,
Take it too.
like,
What you can get at this point.
right. And it gives them some stuff that they can work on going into a break.
Yeah.
You don't want them to think too highly of themselves, and but also don't think too badly about yourself, that you're still able to come back, and you can put that in your pocket, that you can come back in almost any situation. And you move on, and hopefully they get some good rest during this time. And as Gil said, he's not watching this tournament, and I assume you're not as well.
Nope.
Um, and I probably will take this as a break. Anyway, I'm going out of town starting this weekend anyway, so it's not a good time for me to be watching a whole new thing regardless. But if in 2 weeks Janae does want to talk about it when her Canadian team probably inevitably wins, because this is by
You
Batman.
said it, Anna.
Exactly. So we have no games to preview, so that'll make this easy. But we'll let Anna give her final thoughts, and I'll let Gil give his final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this break for everybody. I think the players will come back rested and continuing to kick ass, and I look forward to it. And I don't know, like this, I feel like Tommy's staring at me, and I'm kind of loving this moment right now between us. Thanks, Gal. Um, and I will talk to you all soon. Yeah, Gil, I know it's early, but have a kick-ass birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure I'll talk to you between now and then, even though we won't be on the air. Single tear. Um, but yeah, so I'll catch up with you guys later, and let's hope for some snow days this week.
Yes. I
Yeah.
hope
Fingers
so. Maybe
crossed. All
there's
right.
whistle and or not, who knows? But I wish you well in the whatever elements that come your way, Anna. And we'll talk more Caps hockey on the other side of this break.
Yeah, sounds awesome. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Gail, I got one final question for you. You do anything
Sir.
fun for your birthday now that you've got a weekend and like namely weeks off without hockey?
Uh I it's hard to say, and I don't know. At this point, honestly, it's been it sounds weird to say this because the players are the ones out there taking the punishment, sweating their selves off, and doing all the hard work. But eyes on this team, as much as I give, takes a lot out of you. Um, there's a lot. I don't want to brag, toot my own horn, complain, whatever, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot. It's a labor of love. There's a lot of work I put into this, into this stuff, into my podcast, and other boards that I'm a part of, other things, other podcasts that I'm a part of. So I welcome this break, to be honest, because it's been a grand season. I can't wait to find out how else it plays out. But man, I think we all could take a bit of a break here and step back. And I think the team will be very much recharged from it. It might slip a few in the first game back or so, slip a bit, but I think you're going to see a very refreshed and recharged team down the stretch run here.
And what I think is great is we kind of earned some extra bonus points that if we were to slip a little bit on the comeback, like it's not like, oh man, we're now out of a position. Like we've given ourselves a bit of a buffer. Not that you want to utilize that, but at least you have that in your back pocket where a lot of teams don't have that, right? So
Yeah.
so you'll take where we are, and I've been so impressed. And man, I talked about it last week. I hope that this could be a big year for the Capitals. Much bigger than I think a lot of people anticipated, and they're setting themselves up for a good second half for sure. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all the coverage that you've given. I know it takes a lot of time. I feel the same thing. It's why I might, I talked about at the beginning of the show, I might start to remove the audio podcast of this and do some other things to make it a little easier to do going forward in season 10. But we've been doing this for years, Gil, and it's been fun. I've been happy to document, all of this for Ovechkin. It'll be great to later, play for my kids and be like, remember, this is the OV era. We always will have these, episodes. So even if I don't put them on Spotify, new ones, the old ones should stay, in theory. So, or 600 YouTube videos that they can go through. But I do appreciate all the hard work and effort that both you and Anna and Janaea and all of our, C4 and everybody that's been a part of this. So thank you, everybody, and all the people watching and liking and subscribing and giving people, letting people know about this. The Power Play Point podcast is a great podcast. I wish that we get more listens to it, but you guys do a wonderful job over there, and I really highly encourage anybody who has the opportunity and wants to talk Caps to join them. I mean, I love people coming on. They can always offer to come on this show as well. I think it's a little bit more daunting because there's video and there's a lot going on in this program. But if you just want to chat, like the old school call-in radio shows, but you'll actually get a more than here's your two thoughts and a hang up, like the Sports Junkies and others. Gil is your place to go for that sort of stuff. So I hope that people take you up on that. And I know that I wish that I had more time because I'd love to come on. I really wanted to come on after the Super Bowl one, but I was too crazy busy that day. But I definitely want to get back on as soon as I can for sure. But Gil, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoy a restful birthday because that seems to be what you want. Uh, I appreciate you, and I hope that whatever you want for your birthday that you get.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on. And I gotta say, before we sign off, I gotta say, even though I kind of need the break, you definitely make Mondays something to look forward to doing this.
Yeah, no, it's likewise, like this makes the beginning of the week palatable, which I always hated Monday nights. That's why I always put this on Monday nights because then it's at least a jumping off point for the week. And it's a good time to recap and look forward. And I think it's a cool opportunity to get to do it with a lot of my friends and people that I would just have sitting on the couch here talking sports with me if we didn't do this. So it's an opportunity for people near and far to be able to do that. So thank you, Gil, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Definitely.
All right. And with that, we're going to switch some gears and get Arun, and we're going to get Champ on as well. Um, I'm going to switch off this screen share and put back on our main scene. How do I there it is. All right. We're back with we got Arun and we got Champ here. And I'll ask Arun, would you like to talk the NBA first, or do you want to talk Super Bowl first? And then we can, I'm happy to go either way, but I'll let you pick.
I'll let Champ pick.
I defer
Super
the
Bowl.
thing.
Super Bowl.
All right, we're gonna do Super Bowl first. Okay, so let me put up our football guy. Oops, it's not that one. Sadly, I wish. We'll do the NFL general logo. Although I do kind of feel like the Commanders versus the Eagles was the actual championship game, based on what I watched yesterday. But I'm gonna start off with Arun here. What is your quick takeaway on the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl is not rigged, and the Chiefs they either win a close game or they just get blown out in the Super Bowl. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Champ, I know that you were doing Lyft. Did people were they utilizing your services or was it quiet?
It was moderate. I made about $150.
That's
It
good.
was a lot of dick and duck. There were a few people that were going to Super Bowl parties. I picked up a couple guys that had plenty of beer and alcohol for the Super Bowl party and everything like that. So it was a decent night and stuff like that. I ended up home before once the halftime show was over.
Nice.
So there was that. I actually got to listen to the halftime show, and the halftime show was really good. The problem is that there are, and I'm just going to say this is a very controversial take. A lot of non-black people think the show sucked because the message that the show had went way over their heads. They just did not understand what the performance was all about. And so because they didn't understand it, their natural inclination was to hate it. And it was a really good show. The fact that Kendrick Lamar, K. Dot, had Drake's ex, Serena Williams, out on the stage, grip walking to the very diss track about him was the most diabolical thing I could ever think of in rap. And I heard Jay-Z talking about ejaculating on Nas's baby seat. And even that does and that still measures up as the most diabolical thing to say in a rap. But having your person's ex of the diss track you made of them on the stage, crip walking at the Super Bowl ranks right up there.
Yeah. I missed it because I put my kids to bed during halftime because there's just like no time that I can do it, and it was their bedtime too. But I heard good things. And so Arun, did you watch the halftime show?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but then I know people, the older generation, did not understand what Kendrick Lamar was saying. So, but I think it was a very polarizing halftime show. I liked it, but then older people didn't like it, and with some people were like, "Oh, he shouldn't have gone to Drake," or leave leave Drake alone. It's game over already for Drake. And people are like, that was amazing the way he smiled into the camera and insulted Drake. So, but
That was
I think
great.
it's like might be it's like polarizing, but in a good way. So I think it's more entertaining than like the Who performing at the halftime show or like some washed up artist. It's like a guy who just won 5 Grammys. So even if you don't like his music, I'm enjoying that they're at least putting like relevant artists out there.
Yeah, that's for
The
sure.
game itself was very telling.
Yeah, it was this. I can't believe the game went the way it did. I was rooting for this from the beginning that I just wanted to get blown out so much that they couldn't come back in the end. Because I really felt like there was going to be a surge late, but if they were so far ahead, it wouldn't matter. And that's exactly what happened. But I also have to say that I fell asleep on this couch watching it. And I've never fallen asleep in any Super Bowl up until now. And to be fair, I usually throw a party, so it's harder. The kids were already asleep. And it just lulled me there. Me and Liz both crashed out here. We had great food. That she made. I was laughing. I was like, "You made the food, but we don't have the people here." So she got some pull apart cheese bites. These are pickles with cheese on crackers, which is pretty good. And then we got shrimp and we got the queso and
Nice.
some cookies. So I'm like way too much food. But anyway, it was good eating, but you ate all of that. I fasted all day because I knew I was gonna eat way too much because I always eat way too much. So I fasted all day, then ate all that, skied the day before, and at that point it was 40-6, and I was like, my brain was like, this game is over, and I crashed. I found out later that the other team scored some garbage time points, but it's by that point it's too little, too late, and credit to the Eagles. Great game plan is that they basically look, like they would go to Saquon. They put all the eggs in trying to stop Saquon, and then they got exposed. And the rest of the Eagles playmakers made big plays. And on the defensive side, he just got behind too early, had to throw it a bunch, got a bunch of picks, including a pick six. And suddenly a 10-0 hole became a 17-0 and then a 24-0 hole pretty quick. And yeah, you're not coming back from the Super Bowl when you're down 24-0. I know that the
The
Patriots.
way that he was playing, yeah.
I know the Patriots one time did it, but I just don't feel like.
The Eagles are not the Falcons.
Yeah, that's true. Their defense is much better.
Yeah.
And I think that
The
became
bottom the bottom line here is that I said it so many times on this very podcast that the Kansas City Chiefs were the most inconsistent, overrated two-loss team in the NFL. The fact that they went 15-2 in the regular season, I knew there was something wrong with that. I knew it. And then they get to the Super Bowl and they face the Eagles, and the Eagles absolutely exposed them. And not only did they expose them, but then they dog walked them all around the Caesar Superdome all day long. Now, what's also funny is that in the run up to the Super Bowl, all of a sudden now you have a referee, you have the Chiefs, and you have the commissioner addressing this whole the refs are helping the Chiefs thing. All of a sudden they bring that up, right? They bring that up, and then they come to the game, and the Chiefs don't get no calls their way, and they get their asses whooped. Coincidence? I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
right. I agree with you. It became very obvious. They're like, all right, we'll let them play. And it's so funny because the first drive, there is an offensive pass interference call, which the same play, the Commanders didn't get that call the week before, right? And so
Or earlier in the season too, and Lattimore didn't get
yes,
that call. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, and then so it's just interesting. I do not think the Commanders would have beaten Kansas City though in this place because I think it came down to the defense of the Eagles more, and the offense showed up obviously, but I think the defense was the difference maker in that, and I'm not so sold on the Commanders D. So in my opinion, that's what they need to work on. We have the most money. Going into this offseason, and I just think that we really need to spend some money on the defense because you can always get some more linemen and a couple of other playmakers. Maybe in the draft would be ideal, but I would love a stud. Do you think, Arun, is there anybody out there that you think would be a good run blocker that you think could be a difference maker for the Commanders to sort of help them become more like this Eagles team?
Yeah, I haven't really looked too deep into the offensive line. They do need, I feel like, another left tackle or an upgrade there, but defensively, they also need help in the D line. And Miles Garrett, he said he wants to be traded. Sweat from the Eagles, he's a free agent. He was big in this game. So I'm not sure if Washington should give up like 2 first-round picks, but they have so much salary cap move room right now, and Jaden Daniels, he's underpaid severely. So now's the time probably to overpay a couple players. They're probably overpaying Lattimore a little bit. So they have $100 million in cap space. But yeah, I agree. They need help on the O line, but because the Eagles kind of exposed the Commanders a little bit there. But I think Jaden Daniels outplayed Mahomes against the Eagles, which is crazy considering it's like a 2 week layoff. But Mahomes did not look sharp. Maybe granted the Chiefs' offensive weapons weren't as good as the Commanders, but I was just shocked at how bad Mahomes played.
two
Yeah.
points I want 2 points I want to make. First off, Arun kind of stole my thunder because I actually mentioned this to because in the midst of my drive and lift, I actually drove a couple Commanders fans in different rides. And one of the things I brought up was imagine these five individuals in that front seven of the defense next year. Deron Payne, John Allen, Miles Garrett on the line. I don't know who will be the fourth on the line. And then you have Frankie Louisville and Bobby Wagner in the linebacking core. Think about the five of those men in that front seven and how nasty that front seven can be with those five guys. That would be insane. I think our defense would at least creep up to the top 10 if you have five of those guys in that front seven. Then you take the pressure off the defensive backfield, and then you get Marcus Lattimore back fully healthy. Fully healthy. 100. Okay, football players are never going to be 100% because this is a very physical game. So you can't say they'll be 100%, but get a fully healthy Marshawn Lattimore. I said Marcus. Marshawn Lattimore. You put Sammer still back there in his second year. He was already balling as a rookie. So I think he's going to have a really good second year. You get Chin back there in the safeties position. And I think this defense can be top 10 next year if you add a Miles Garrett or someone comparable to a Miles Garrett on the defensive side. The second point I wanted to make, Cooper DeJean on his birthday getting a pick six in the Super Bowl, that's going to be something he's going to be able to talk about with his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren for the rest of his life. Because I think that's the first time ever in Super Bowl history that someone made a touchdown on their birthday in the Super Bowl. And this dude, who's a rookie, he is a rookie, did it in the Super Bowl his rookie year on his birthday.
What I loved about the Eagles defense was they weren't even blitzing. They're just
No,
front four was just creating so much havoc that it completely demolished the team. But oh my goodness, like I love Travis, but holy shit, did he have a meltdown? And just, I mean, all day long, just falling apart. Wouldn't even take press after the game, which I think is
he
crazy.
wanted to propose to Taylor Swift, but they lost. So it's like it wouldn't have made no sense.
Yeah. Oh my God.
A
Yeah.
couple of those throws, one of them I think Mahomes like completely missed through him. But yeah, Travis Kelce was not getting any separation. He had, I think, his worst playoff game that I can remember.
I think he was also pissed because they showed Taylor Swift on the big screen and she got booed out the building. Even she was shocked by that. She was like, "Wait, what?"
I was actually surprised how little they showed of Taylor and of the president. I was expecting that to become, it is Fox. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't, I'm happy they didn't.
Maybe they hate Taylor Swift at Fox. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I'm just surprised they didn't show the president. Like, that was such a big story going into it that I was like, wow, like, you wouldn't even know he was there based on their coverage, you
They
know?
showed him in the anthem only. That was the only time they showed him.
Yeah. But I
And
mean,
they cheered him, which is maybe they edited it, but they cheered him from what I saw.
right. But I was surprised by that. I'll just put it that way.
It was also
I actually
Saquon's
had a
birthday too.
You know what's funny? I actually had a writer who was pissed off because there was a report saying they were going to sing the Negro national anthem, but then they felt they retracted, said they weren't going to do it. And I had a writer who was pissed off that they weren't going to do it. And guess what? He was white, and he was mad that they weren't doing the Negro national anthem to stick it to the president. I said, listen, what else you want them to do, man? Like, you're already gonna have Kendrick on there, who's probably gonna be very controversial. Last thing you want to do is play an anthem that I'm pretty sure our sitting president would not appreciate while he's president, being the first ever sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. We can't forget about that because he's gonna never let us forget that.
Right. It's I was surprised they didn't do it too, because there was so many reports that it was going to happen right before. But all right. Well, I mean, I honestly did not watch much of the commercials. I really barely cared about the Super Bowl. Enough that I wanted to watch it to be able to report on it, but like beyond that, I just wasn't feeling it. I did own up to it. I said to a lot of friends and family that are Eagles fans, I would root for them. Just I could not. I didn't want the narrative of the three-peat, and I said it during the hockey segment. The last time that I rooted for the Eagles and they won, the Caps won a couple of months later. So I'm hoping that the Screaming Eagles can follow the Eagles once again. And hopefully some of those Eagles fans will return the favor and root for the Capitals this spring.
They
Uh,
won't.
yeah, they probably won't.
They won't.
But
They're too busy climbing up light poles and being idiots.
we don't have to worry about the Flyers being in it though, so it's not like it's gonna be like they've got a team to root for. So that team has been pretty terrible. This whole
I saw a video clip of shortly after the Super Bowl in Philly. The streets were just filled with people, and I'm just like, wait, there ain't no parade yet. What the hell are you doing?
no, and they were
One of the
taking
things
down light poles and stuff too. It's
Philly
crazy.
fans are insufferable. And now that they won a Super Bowl, they're going to be even more insufferable. That's why I didn't want to root for anybody. Because I'm like, I really don't want to deal with these insufferable asshats. But here we are.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, I really thought they were the best team. I mean, if you really think about it, I know that the Lions had their moments or whatever, but overall, I think that the Eagles had a pretty tough schedule. They had to fight against the best. I think the Commanders put up a really great, fight against them. And it's a bummer that we didn't win that game because it'd be interesting to see what would have happened. But I'm hoping that it's a similar situation to the Steelers, or not Steelers, to the Penguins when the Caps finally beat their arch nemesis. They went on and won the cup. I hope that we have a similar story next year. And one of the downsides to the Eagles is by winning it, a lot of players are going to become very expensive. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can keep up this level. They'll also have to play the number one teams in all of the divisions, right? And there's a report of who are they going to play in game one. And there is some talk that the Commanders might get that Thursday night football game. So it'll be interesting to see who they end up choosing, for the first game of the season. Because remember, they get that Thursday game to start the year, and often it's a rematch of the championship games, or one of them. And so there's good chance that it might be them or the Lions was thought to be a potential one as well. But Arun, what is your takeaway? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm trying to remember which division the NFC East plays next year. It might be the AFC West, but I'm not 100%.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's what I think too. So there, it could be Chiefs, Eagles, or yeah, as you mentioned, Eagles, Commanders, and that would be good because Jaden Daniels, he had an interview and he's really upset about the loss, and that's what he's been thinking about nonstop. And that would be, it'd be like revenge would be kind of fresh on his mind if he's training this whole off season thinking about that game. Yeah, so I think you're right that the Eagles were probably the best team. They had a bigger point margin of victory than the Chiefs. The Chiefs only scored 31 points once this season, I think, in the AFC Championship game. And I think it's now looking back, it's kind of surprising that the Bills or Ravens didn't knock off the Chiefs, but I guess the Chiefs did have home field advantage, and it's different playing in a neutral field for sure.
So here are the teams ranked by the Eagles Wire on USA Today. So Detroit Lions was the favorite, Commanders second, Lions was third, the Broncos are fourth, Bears were fifth, Cowboys sixth, Giants seventh, Raiders was eighth, and those are the 8 teams that they'll play at home this season. So there you go.
Cool.
So those are what we think. Between all those 8 teams, Champ, who do you think? Do you think it's gonna be Lions, Commanders, or one of the other teams for the opening game?
I mean, it's really hard to say honestly because I mean it just depends on what seems to be the more intriguing matchup when it comes to that opening.
I
That
would love
opening
it to be
weekend.
the Commanders to get it out of the way. 'Cause we're gonna have to play Philly sometime, and maybe you most rested, and they're gonna have be you talk about the championship all night, and sometimes you can beat those teams. When I think about the Capitals and what they just went through when they had a show when they're celebrating something, and sometimes that gets all the spotlight, and the actual opponent isn't looked at.
Okay, so I got it right here. The schedule for the Commanders next year. We play the NFC North and the AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to play the Bears again, and the Lions, and
Right.
Green Bay, and the Vikings.
Yes.
So we get to get after JJ McCarthy, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, and Jared Goff. And in the AFC West, we get the pip slap Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, whoever the fuck the quarterback is for the Raiders, and Justin Herbert.
Hmm.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Oh, one question I gotta ask you guys: are we surprised that Jaden Daniels won 2 NFL awards? Are we surprised?
No, he deserved it. And I'm sort of sad that our coach wasn't even in top 3 consideration for coach of the year. It was basically
Yeah, I thought that was
it
bullshit.
was
I
based on
thought that was
regular
bullshit.
season, so the voting happens before. And when you take in playoffs into consideration, which the Fox poll kind of does a little bit more of that he did win that one. So but I thought Jaden did a great job. He actually won 3 awards. He won the two Rookie of the Year ones, but also won Play of the Year.
Yep, for that Hail Mary.
Hail Mary. So,
And the Bears
But
cornerback won it too.
But I like the schedule for next year for the Commanders because the home games, of course, are in our division with Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles, and then of course you have Chicago, Denver, Las Vegas, and Detroit coming here. But you also have the Seattle Seahawks coming here. So you have DK Metcalf, Geno, and all them coming here. Then away games are of course in our division, but then we go to Lambeau Field, Arrowhead. We go to LA. We go to the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota. We go to the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, and we go to South Beach, Miami.
hmm.
So we face 2 of them in Miami next year.
It's
That
funny.
should be a lot of fun. That should be a fun game. If Tua's healthy, look at that quarterback matchup. Tua Tagovailoa versus Jaden Daniels. And if they still had Tyreek there, man, that's a sexy matchup right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Wait, I thought the Tyreek wasn't he leaving?
Yeah, he could be here if there's a chance.
Imagine. Oh, and Tyreek Daddy comes here. Y'all ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing.
Right. It's funny because last time you and I saw a Miami game live together, remember at the bar with CP3 champ?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Out
So
out Fort Washington.
yeah, I think that's the last time we played them.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. What was that? 2000. That had to be 2019, because that's when I moved out to Reston. I had just moved out to Reston that year,
Yeah, something like
and I
that.
drove all the way out from Reston to come out and hang out with y'all in Fort Washington. That was fun too.
We must have played.
I
We
regret
must have
nothing.
played Miami one time in between then, because don't we play them every
We
4
played
years?
them in the Fitzpatrick when it was like a tank off the Chase Young year. I want
Uh,
to say the number 2 pick,
yeah,
but I don't think Tyreek Hill wasn't on the team yet.
Yeah, he was still
yeah.
with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just thought about it. Imagine, if you will, an offense that has McLaurin on one side, and Tyreek on the other side with Brown or Crowder with Brown and Crowder in the slots in a 4-receiver set. What defense is dealing with that? You're not gonna be able to double team either McLaurin or Tyreek, because then someone like Noah Brown or De'Ami Brown or OZ can go off. If you double team one of those two guys, then they can go off. Just imagine that receiving core with Tyreek Hill as part of it as wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
That is an offense that would be scary to deal with. And then if you have to try to cover those two guys at wide receiver, Brian Robinson can then go off. That's an offense that I would be afraid of as an opposing team. If you have Tyreek on one side and McLaurin on the other side with talented guys in the slots like OZ or Crowder or anybody like that, and then have Brian Robinson not dancing all over the place, just being that power runner that he can be. I'm telling you, this offense was already a top 10 offense this season, would absolutely soar to new heights if you bring in someone like a Tyreek Hill or someone of a complement to that, like I mentioned with Myles Garrett. I'm telling you, and CP3 brought this up a lot. The amount of cap space that this team has, they can make a move to bring in someone of that skill set to really improve either on the offensive side or the defensive side or on both sides.
Yeah.
What's to stop them, honestly?
I'm not sold on B-Rob. I don't know. I feel like we could do better at that position. I don't know.
I still believe in him. I just like CP3 brought up, and I noticed it a lot when I seen him run. Stop dancing. Just you're a power runner. You've shown that you're a power runner. Just power run. Just go. Just find the hole and get through it. And
I just don't know if he has the strength to be like the full. He's not a Saquon. He's not a, you know what I mean? Like, he's just not. I don't know. He's not built that same way.
He's not, but I still believe that he can. I still believe he can do it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't lost faith in him because
I don't want to say I completely lost faith in him. I just think that there might be better options. I don't know. It's we'll see.
The running back market is not very fruitful at the moment, honestly. So that's why I haven't lost my faith, and I still believe in B-Rob. But if this season he does show some regression, then I'll be like, you know what, maybe there is a better option. But for right now, I haven't seen much regression from B-Rob. And so I still think that he has the ability to be a top 15 running back in this league. I'm not going to say top 10, but I still think he has the ability to be a top 15 running back in this league. He's still young. This was only, his third season? And so he's still got some time, and he's still got a lot of tread on his tires. I think that this third season, this next season, we might see something different from B-Rob. We might see what the actual potential that we could get from him that we were expecting from him when he came out of college. You got to think about it. His rookie season was kind of marred because he got shot in a attempted carjacking. So, coming off of that and still trying to play at a high level, he still produced pretty well despite that. So I think you give him, I think next year could be something different for him.
Yeah. I want to thank everyone for hanging out and chatting on Twitch. We got Tina and Steam Friend joining us. Tina actually gigantified a Taylor Swift emote, which I thought was pretty funny. But
I bet it got booed.
Exactly. It's been an interesting season for football. We got a lot farther than I expected. I have really excited for the future. I'm excited we'll talk in a couple of weeks, bring back Defenders football as well, and hopefully get to go to a game. And the off season has begun, and be interesting to see what sort of moves. When does the free agency period start around, do you know? The draft's in April, right?
I think isn't it before? I don't know though. Is it after? NFL free agency date March 12th.
Got it. So not that far away. So teams can begin to apply the franchise tag on February 18th and have until March 4th, and then legally contacted until March 10th, and it officially opens March 12th. Is that right? Yeah.
It says March 10th through 12th. I don't know. I'm confused, but what it says March. It's just
Yeah, they can be contacted on the 10th, but the market officially opens on the 12th.
yeah.
Confusing. But anyway, it's expected to rise as much as 275 million, which would be nearly 20 million increase over the 24 cap. So we get 20 more million to work with, which is nice. And yeah, all right. So it's not so far away. We'll definitely be talking about that coming up. I do want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the trade deadline on the NBA side. Let me just change some of our graphics around. Three and CNB. Do I have? Well, I'll just develop the Wizards graphic. Um, there's been a lot of moves all over the league, and Arun, why don't you talk about some of the biggest moves that you thought were interesting, and then we'll talk about the Wizards moves after that.
Well, was a very active trade deadline. Like the Luka trade was obviously the biggest, but we already talked about that one. But the Jimmy Butler trade to Golden State, I think that was a big deal because it seemed like Kevin Durant may have been heading to Golden State in three-way trade with Jimmy Butler heading to Phoenix, and I don't know exactly what Phoenix was going to give up, but other than Durant oh yeah, it was like going to be a really complicated trade, but Durant turned that down, and so Golden State settled for Jimmy Butler, and right now the Warriors have won a couple games in a row since Butler's been a part of the team. They did lose to the Lakers though before Butler joined the team. And then just more crazy stuff coming from the Luka Doncic. I think that's just been that trade was so big that there's just stuff that's coming out like that the owner was saying that Luka wasn't in shape like greats like Kobe and Shaq, and Shaq has been overweight in his career, so it's kind of weird comment for the owner to say. And Anthony Davis, he just got an injury, which he's been an injury prone player for most of his career. So it hasn't, even though he's been healthier than Luka Doncic last year, he's going to be out for probably 11 games. So it's looking really bad for the Lakers front. And I guess De'Aaron Fox, he went to the Spurs. The Wizards just played them. And I believe the Spurs have won 3 of their 4 games with Fox. And the Wizards, they lost tonight, but all 9 of their players had double figures, so kind of a good game. And the Wizards, they made 4 trades, I believe, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's the Wizards made a lot of moves. There's a lot of players to sort of sift through. What do you? And the Wizards actually been playing better. They won 3 games in a row right before they lost the last 2. I think is that what I saw.
Yeah, they won 3 in a row. They played the Cavs close and they lost that game. They were the hottest team in the Eastern Conference when they were won 3 games in a row, which is pretty funny. Um, Kyle Kuzma was trying harder than he was before that, so they won 2 games in a row. But then the third game, without Kuzma, it seems like they've been sharing the ball more. They had 40 assists, which is crazy. And today, it's like the first time, I think, in Wizards history that they had 9 players who all played who had double figures, but it came in a loss because the Spurs with Wemby are just too much. I think Wemby and Fox combined for like 50 plus points at least. And but I think the trades overall, they were like singles, but I think all combined it was like a home run kind of thing. Like they got a first rounder, they got AJ Johnson, who's like a first round pick for the Bucks. They they moved Valanciunas for a couple second rounders. They got like 4 they got 1 first rounder for 4 second rounders, which may seem like a bad deal, but they already had like 18 second round picks in the next 3 years, so it was kind of good in that sense. And I think Kyle Kuzma was kind of being a chucker, and he's been terrible shooting the 3. And I think I believe the Bucks have only won 1 game since they've got Kuzma, and it just seems like a salary dump move by the Bucks more than anything. Like I think Middleton, even though he's coming off an injury, he's better than Kuzma.
Yeah, it was an interesting move for sure. I'm
And
kind of
Marcus Smart is back. It's like on the Wizards. It's kind of that's crazy because he's like they had those playoff series where he was like the funeral series of John Wall, but I guess now he's a mentor, former defensive player of the year. He's overpaid, but as a salary dump with the first round pick, it's like a good move for the Wizards.
yeah, and we don't because we could just cut players, right? In the NBA, it's not like the NHL where you can't just cut them; you just have to pay them if you do, right?
Yeah, they seem like they want to keep them around for veteran leadership. Like you could pay them to stay away, but I think they like Middleton and Marcus Smart. He could probably help the Wizards teach them how to play defense. He was already giving Jordan Poole some tips defensively, like inside the locker, like before they headed on the court. So I think it's not necessarily terrible that they're on the team in the short run. And I think their center rotation is so bad that they'll be bad anyways. Like defensively, they gave up 120 plus points tonight, but I think they're, if they actually had legitimate center, I think they would be like close to like, they wouldn't be like the worst team in the NBA, but I think they're trying to secure that draft pick. So they're definitely playing a lot better since Kuzma's left because I think Kuzma was just trying to get his stats, and the Wizards' young players are kind of playing pretty well together. It's just their defense is pretty horrible, like with the center position being that weak right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing what you're saying for the Wizards. 9 players in double digits. Pretty wild. So it does show that each player has potential, but they also allowed 2 players on the Spurs to each score 30 points. And so that kind of negates it a little bit, what everyone was saying on the defensive end. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this season goes from here. I am happy they were able to beat Brooklyn last week and 119 to 102. They play Indiana, Milwaukee, and then at Orlando. Uh, Anything else about any of the trade moves that you think were interesting for the Wizards? Because they did make a lot of moves just in volume, more than I expected.
I like the AJ Johnson pickup. I mean, he kind of looks similar to like a first round pick Jalen Green, and he had a really incredible dunk. He just needs to work on his outside shot, and his weight is a little low. I think he's like only 165, but he's very athletic. It'll be interesting to see with the season closing out if he gets a lot of minutes. And oh yeah, the Johnny Davis era has come to an end, and he was traded out. So he was drafted and he was in the Taco Bell commercial, but did not pan out. So the longest tenured wizard, I think, is Corey Kispert. I think, but I gotta double check that.
Wow. I believe it though. That's crazy though. Looking at the box score here, see if there's anybody I think that could have been longer. Uh,
And Jordan Poole, he had like a 45-point game, but the last like 3 games, he's like shooting, I think like below 20% from 3-point range, and he shot like 4 of 17 and something crazy like that in his 45-point game. So he could have had like 50 or 60 points if he shot well from three. So
yeah,
he did.
right. He was 2 for 13 from three.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeesh.
he was shooting 40% from three, so it's a little bit regression from the mean because he was having a career season from three. But I think he needs to get back to working on the 3-point shot. But there was a really nice dunk by Koulibaly over Wemby where Jordan Poole passed it to him, and Chris Miller went crazy shooting. I mean, crazy with the French. And Steve Buckhantz was also on the altcast, so I should have probably caught that. I only saw that after the game was over, but he was doing some play-by-play on the altcast for Monumental Sports. So it's good that at least they've gone back to him, but maybe he should be on the main cast.
Yeah, that would be great to bring him back. I probably would care more. I'd probably listen to more games. So, um, I wish that they would be like more transparent and like I don't know where I'd expect them to tell us about that, but I don't know. I didn't know that was happening, so I didn't even give it a
I
shot.
didn't know either. I just because I just logged on to the Monumental website and that's how I watch the games through my YouTube TV. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So our bench actually in the plus minus, I know is not a really important statistic, but our bench did pretty well. They were all plus, but our starters were like minus 21, minus 24, minus 27. So just defensively, our starters seemingly didn't pick up the, um, where they should have been. So hopefully, they can put it all together soon. So again, they definitely have an interesting couple of games coming up. Indiana, Milwaukee at Orlando, then Brooklyn and Portland at home to end this month. So we'll definitely talk about them a little bit more. That uh, February 24th game, we'll have another post game live and we'll give our assessment on that one as well when we come back in a couple of weeks. We are taking next week off. It's Gil's birthday and also President's Day, and also the Caps aren't playing. So we're going to take next week off from that. But Arun, I'll let you have your final thoughts, and then I'll talk to Ken for a second about some wrestling. But Arun, any final takeaways or things you want to talk about before I let you go?
No, I'm just gonna catch probably Luca and LeBron playing right now, the Lakers, and
How are you?
see.
What is it on?
It's on ESPN, I believe.
It is. I couldn't find it. I thought they flexed the other game that they had 2 days ago, and they didn't have this one.
I
Why is
think let me just double check because that's what I heard because it's on ESPN. So the Jets because it's I'm gonna go watch that game because they put the Warriors Bucks game on NBA TV and then because Luca is making his debut today,
I
they're
was trying
putting
to get that, but then I have it set to pre-record all Lakers games, but I think that they did it so late that they didn't like.
ESPN has something or ABC sometimes they don't record the games on YouTube TV when the game is over, or at least I don't at least it's on ABC. I don't know about ESPN, but yeah. Right now the Lakers are winning 16-10, but that should be I just want to see how many points Luka's going to play and hopefully they don't wear him out like the Mavericks wore out Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I don't know why this is. Oh, here networks. Maybe that's how you do it. I'm trying to find the game, but anyway, I'll figure that out afterwards. But yeah, I am interested in that game as well. I was actually going to put that on, but it wasn't showing up. Well, Arun, thank you so much for all your coverage of football and other things over the last couple of weeks, and we'll definitely talk to you more about the Wizards and potentially when the Defenders come back, and then also March Madness is coming up relatively soon as well. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well. But thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Sure, thanks for having me on. See you guys.
All right, have a good one. All right, I'm gonna switch the graphic to the no spots one. Um, Make this go away. And so, Champ, let people know about the fallout from the big. Last week we talked about the Royal Rumble. I know that there was a big episode of Raw and SmackDown, and then another episode of Raw tonight. But what are some of the big storylines that we're seeing coming out of that going towards WrestleMania?
Well, one of the negative storylines actually started on Friday night. 10 members of the WWE talent roster were either given their outright releases or were told that their contracts were not going to be extended. That would be Elektra Lopez, the AOP and Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, B. Priestley, also known as Blair Davenport, Cedric Alexander, Duke Hudson, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. It was one other person, and Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville wasn't given a release. She was told that they would not be renewing her contract. So when her contract is officially done, she can go wherever she wants to, but everybody else who was released will have to wait out 90 days because every WWE main roster contract contains a 90-day non-compete clause, meaning that they have to wait 90 days before they can go and wrestle anywhere else.
Hmm.
And so those individuals got let go. Oh, and Isla Dawn, I'm sorry. Isla Dawn was a former WWE women's tag champion, was also one of those that was told that they would be released from their contract. So all of them, with the exception of Sonya Deville, will have to wait until May of this year before they could sign on or go and do any indie bookings or sign on to another promotion. Whereas Sonya, as soon as her contract expires, she can go wherever she wants to. So that's the negative. That's kind of a
Real,
fallout
can
from
I ask you a quick
Royal
question?
Rumble. Sure.
Question about that. So, do they get like a severance where they're like still like paid through the company until their exclusivity runs out, or no?
So what happens is with the 90-day non-compete, they're still getting paid basically to sit at home
Right.
and not wrestle or go anywhere else for 90 days. They're still getting paid. They're still getting a paycheck every couple weeks and everything like that. But then once the 90 days is done, then they officially sever ties with WWE. Then they can go and wrestle wherever they want and make their, get earnings from other promotions and stuff like that. But for the time being, while they're on that 90-day non-compete, they are still getting paid. That's the understanding I got from is that they still get a paycheck while they're sitting at home and whatnot. And then once the 90 days is done, then that's it.
So, was of all those people, were most of those to be expected, or were they all surprises to you?
These were all surprises. There was no inclination. There are even people who claim to have a pulse backstage, including a certain someone that we never mentioned on the podcast, but I'll mention it here, Dave Meltzer, who's like a long time wrestling writer who claims to usually have the pulse of backstage. Even he didn't see these releases coming.
Hmm.
No one saw these releases coming. They came completely out of nowhere, and it's crazy that they completely came out of nowhere. Typically, when these type of release, especially of this number, usually there's like a heads up, like, hey, we're hearing from backstage that there's going to be releases happening. But no, they literally came out of nowhere. Duke Hudson, who's in NXT, his release actually happened in January, but it was quiet because he's part of NXT and they don't usually publicize the NXT releases. They only publicize the main roster ones. So his didn't get reported until this month that he was let go. And it was reported by him himself because he did a video on his YouTube channel about it. And so no one knew about that until it was put out there by him. So there's that. But then all these other releases are happening that actually got reported. And so
Did anybody
no
else
one knew.
comment on any of them being released? Did anyone else post on their YouTube or social medias that you know of?
A couple of them have posted on social media. I know Blair Davenport, the former B Priestley, broke her silence about her release by saying two words on her X account, which was Top Gaijin, which a lot of people took as a tease that she may be going back to Japan because she had a big amount of success in the Stardom promotion in Japan. She won multiple championships there. That's where they signed her from, was from Japan. Uh, when she was B Priestley, and so she's had a lot of success. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of room for her in Stardom. Well, it's going to be hard to say there's going to be room for her in Stardom, given the fact that it's different and new ownership there. So who knows? But I think that she will go back to Stardom and bring back that Top Gaijin energy that she had when she was there. For those who don't know, Gaijin is a word that the people in Japan use for foreigners.
Mhm.
And so she embraces that and calls herself the top Gaijin, which she somewhat was because she was one of the most decorated non-Japanese performers in Stardom. And so I think that that's her where she's going. Paul Ellering had a nice something to say on his X account. He still has ties to WWE, even if he's not under contract technically anymore, because he is a Hall of Famer. And so push comes to shove, if they don't resign him to a talent deal, they can sign him to a Legends deal where he can still get revenue from any merchandising and stuff like that. So who knows what's going to happen with that. But a lot of these releases were very surprising, especially with someone like Elektra Lopez. She literally just made an appearance on SmackDown this past Friday. She was just on TV this past Friday with Legato. And now, next thing you know, Sunday we find out she's released. 2 days later, she's released. Cedric Alexander was just in a program with Ethan Page at NXT, and now he's gone. Duke Hudson, I'm not really surprised because after Chase U had been dismantled after Andre Chase lost the match to Rich Holland earlier last year. They had dismantled Chase U, and so everybody that was a part of Chase U outside of Andre Chase had kind of went and disappeared. And so I'm not surprised that Duke Hudson was let go. I'm more so surprised that Riley Osborne and Thea Hare, who are also part of that stable, weren't also released. But I think because they're two younger wrestlers, I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to repackage those two and get them back on NXT TV. Don't know when, don't know how, but it should happen sooner rather than later with those two. But yeah, these releases came completely out of nowhere. And what's even more surprising is that Gallows and Anderson came back to WWE after they spent their time on the Indies. They were part of TNA. Carl Anderson was actually a champion in New Japan when they re-signed them, and he ended up getting permission to come back to Wrestle Kingdom. And I think it was Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was before Wrestle Kingdom where he dropped the championship to Tama Tonga before he can continue his full-time commitments with WWE. And Sif said this on the podcast that we just recorded, which will go out either tomorrow evening or Wednesday, that it was a dick move by WWE that they released the Good Brothers. Carl Anderson's currently on the shelf after having surgery to repair a torn labrum. He's not going to be back he wasn't supposed to be back until after WrestleMania, but yet now he's not with WWE. So he's still getting paid and he's sitting at home injured, but once he's healed up, he's got to figure out, he and his tag team partner got to figure out what they're going to do next. So that's a little, that's the nature of the business. It sucks, but that's
why do you think they made all these so many moves in such a short period of time?
That I don't know, but the typical answer that they give for these type of releases, especially this number, is quote unquote budget cuts. Even though the last few times they've made these type of releases and said it was budget cuts, they saw record profits. So make it make sense that you see record profits, yet you're cutting wrestlers and taking away their livelihood for budget reasons.
Right. But it's just interesting because a lot of people that you've named, I mean, some of them are key players, but you do wonder if there's just so many people and like they're trying to streamline storylines and they're just not fitting into what they're trying to do going forward.
Well, one sort of thing I saw online is that they're expecting to call up a few people from NXT, and so they were making room on the roster for those call ups. And also, the NXT folks, they don't get paid a high salary because NXT is the developmental brand, and so they're not getting the big dollars that you get on the main roster. So it could be more cost effective for them to have NXT wrestlers on the main roster for less than they would already established main roster talent that they're paying a lot more for. I mean, that could be the logic, though it's stupid, flawed logic, but that's just me. I'm just a wrestling fan. I'm not a wrestling promoter or anything like that. I don't know shit about that, but that's just the way it seems like to me, is that, they may be making room for some of these NXT call-ups, and because they're being paid a lot less, it's more cost-effective to just have them on the main roster than some of these pros like the Good Brothers and Cedric Alexander and all these other folks.
I have another quick question for you because so in like things like Royal Rumble and certain big matches, there are key players that come in, but you don't see them throughout the year sometimes. Like there are some people that were like surprise call-ins and stuff like that.
Yes.
Do they just pay like them by appearance? Because they can't be considered main roster talent because it's not like that they're showing up on Raw every week or things like that.
I believe they are paid for that appearance with the Royal Rumble, because I know like Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella are both pretty much retired for the most part, especially Nikki. Nikki had some well-documented issues with her neck, and so she kind of retired and also went to start a family, even though now she's about to be divorced from her husband because her husband put his hands on her. Um, but Nikki Bella and Trish, who had a good program with Becky Lynch in 2023. um she might be they might be using her because the next pay-per-view for or next PLE for WWE is Elimination Chamber, and it's in her hometown of Toronto, Canada. And so there's a possibility that her making her appearance in the Women's Rumble this past weekend, or last weekend I should say, could be a prelude to her being involved in the run-up to Elimination Chamber, because it's in Toronto and stuff like that. She may have an involvement in that, being that it is in her backyard. So, but yeah, I think they do pay them for that appearance. They don't pay them any more past that unless they make other appearances. I think a lot of times these individuals who aren't signed to full-time contracts, they're like on what they call a per appearance deal, at which point when they make an appearance, they get paid for a set appearance and nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. So it's like a part-time employee kind of thing versus a full-time. So
Right.
which is interesting. It was a cool way to bring a lot of different people back on the field, and it's cool to see the documentaries that have come out. The WWE has put out. I sent you a link earlier today. I don't know if you had seen that one with the
I need to watch it. I was busy with work. I
yeah.
overslept and got even busy, so I need to go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It sort of just shows the Triple H behind the scenes, with the lead up to the Royal Rumble and things like that, and through the Royal Rumble. And it's cool that they kind of give these big time name people vlogs now through, social, YouTube, and social media and things like that. So there's a couple of good things that have come out of that. I liked what they did with iShowSpeed. I thought that was a cool thing, 'cause, like, he live streamed that on his channel, which gave eyeballs to it, and like it's cool. I didn't you don't realize when you're watching it live, but he was being live streamed that whole entire time. There was a guy following him in the ring, and then over into the crash. He was still live coming out of that, like, on his YouTube channel throughout that. And so it's just kind of, I like that they're playing into these other marketing things and bringing in social media stars, people on Twitch, people on YouTube, whatever. It just brings in a different
Kai
audience.
Cenat was also live streaming from the crowd.
Yeah. Um, and then they did like some sort of collab together too. And so, like, it's just cool, the synergy and working through and trying to appeal to a new base. I like it because I love all the social media clips, because I might not get a chance to watch the full episode or whatever, but I at least get a sense of what's going on, and here are some of the big moments that you may have missed. And I very much appreciate that they try to tailor to many different audiences in today's world. I think that
This is the byproduct of not having a 70-plus-year-old out of touch man in charge, aka Vince McMahon, because you're getting to be able to get to said audience and touch on social media, because this new generation is all about social media and social media engagements and things like that. So, why not tap into that with these online personalities like a Kai Cenat, like a ISO Speed. Now, I'll admit that I never ever watched ISO Speed, because when I watch streams, I only watch the people that I mod for, and that's it. I don't watch anybody else. Well, of course, I don't watch anybody else. So hearing about, Kai, I knew about Kai Cenat. I never watched him, but his name is rings bells in the streaming community. And so to have that sort of notoriety in in professional wrestling puts a different set of fans into your stratosphere. And I think that if Vince McMahon were still in charge, we wouldn't be having this. We would have the same old BS, the same old crap, and the same old boring BS, and social media, and you wouldn't have new fans coming in, and you wouldn't have these record number gates at these arenas, and these record numbers of buy rates and views on Peacock and things like that, and you wouldn't have the Netflix deal and things like that. You just would not have it if Vince were still in charge. So it's great that this new regime understands how the landscape is changing in terms of the wrestling fan and are changing with that landscape. You still have your loyal old school fans like myself, like Sith, like Donnie, like Sage, and anybody else who's been a long time wrestling fan. We're still here. Don't get it twisted. We are still here and stuff like that. But it's good that you're bringing in another sort of audience into this universe to understand wrestling, and then you have Peacock, which has an extensive library of PLEs, episodes of Raw, SmackDown, and some of the old school, like older stuff. Like I could literally go on my TV right now, go into Peacock, and go watch WrestleMania 17 right now because it's there. And WrestleMania 17, amongst 90+% of wrestling fans, is considered the greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah,
Period.
I'm excited about this build up. I think it's going to be really interesting to sort of see some of these storylines. And
Did you see Raw tonight?
I have not seen it tonight.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything, but the
No, no,
worst.
no. I kind of want you to, because I purposely wanted to focus on you guys, but I'll watch like replays and stuff later. But no, feel free to if there's something that happened that you want to talk.
So,
Okay.
so we know that Jay Uso won the Royal Rumble, right? And I think that conventional wisdom was saying that he was gonna go and choose Walter Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, but he still went to SmackDown to talk to Cody Rhodes, and then it kind of was like a little bit of a pump fake, like, oh, maybe he's gonna go after Cody in the Undisputed Championship. Well, tonight, Jay opened the show. I missed the about 10 minutes of the show because I was still watching last week's show and completely lost track of time and forgot to put on this week's show. But by the time I turned on there, Walter had beat the crap out of Jay Uso, but then Jay got on the mic and I had on low volume because I was still recording. But apparently he made his choice and it is Walter. So it's going to be Jay Uso versus Walter, which is the worst kept secret in all of wrestling, for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Now, what night it's going to be is going to be one that we won't figure out until much later down the road, because WrestleMania is still 2 nights. It could be the night 1 main event. It could be the night 2. It may be the night 1 main event, because whoever Cody faces out of the Elimination Chamber might get the top billing of being main event on night 2 against Cody. So that's what's going on there. But there's a lot that's going on in wrestling. A matter of fact, in about less than 2 hours from now, New Japan is actually going to go live on their streaming service for their big show in Osaka. It's New Beginning in Osaka, because it's a 2:30 start time there in Japan. So it's 1 a.m. here in the United States. And it's going to be the main event is Zack Sabre Jr. defending the World Championship against Hiroki Goto, who won a New Japan Rambo back in January at Wrestle Kingdom to get a shot at that title. But it's a stacked card with a lot of championships and a lot of grudge matches. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be awake when it starts, so I'm going to be watching it live. I can't wait. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I have to remind people that I'm going to be at Vengeance Day for NXT this Saturday at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Southeast DC. Myself and Sage are going. I can't wait for that show. Roxanne Perez, Bailey, and Julia for the women's championship. Obafemi and A-Town Down Under in a triple threat for the men's championship. Stephanie Vaquer versus Fallon Henley for the North American championship. It's going to be a fun night. I can't wait.
The A-Town Down Under is trying for the NXT championship, more of the tag team.
No, yeah, they Ava a couple weeks ago made a match where they would be in a triple threat. It would be Theory and Waller against Oba, but it's triple threat rules, not handicap. It's triple threat. Both top NXT championships are triple threat matches. So it's really going to be very intriguing to see how these matches play out and stuff like that. But it's going to be really a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Wait, so it's a tag team is in the triple threat match, is that right?
Yes.
But so they can help each other eliminate the other person.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see because they've kind of shown semblances of a bit of a fracture between the two of them. And
Got it.
so I think that they may play off of that in this environment. I still think Oba retains because he just won the title, so I don't think he's going to lose it right away, and not to either Theory or to Waller. But I think that they're doing this sort of to kind of accentuate whatever fracture that's starting to build between A Town Down Under and
I was
sort
just
of.
surprised because A-Town Down Under I thought was a main card tag team, so I'm just surprised that they're playing down at the NXT level. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they've had some main roster folks go up to go down to NXT to kind of be down there and do some storylines. Bailey has been in a few with Roxanne Perez, though. It looks like Perez is about to be called up to the main roster. She actually has an elimination chamber qualifying match next week on Raw. And so there's that, but she's had a beef with Bailey, who's come down to NXT to deal with her, and now Roxanne's about to come up to the main roster. So for the last year or so, they have been bringing main roster folks down to NXT to sort of like work with the younger kids down there and help them out and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It's actually been a very beneficial thing. Heck, John Cena's been down there. The Rock was down there. Hell, the Undertaker even was
Undertaker,
down there. Even the Undertaker showed up at NXT and chokeslammed Braun Breaker.
right?
so so
Yeah.
it's a good thing that they're kind of mixing it in to kind of give these younger kids who may not be familiar with television wrestling, to give them that sort of veteran presence and that veteran leadership to help them learn how to be TV wrestlers and be able to work in a match that's being televised on TV, because a lot of them who are wrestlers who came in from the indies, there's a big difference between an indie wrestling match and a television wrestling match. There's a huge difference. An indie match, they'll put it together and they'll do all kind of crazy stuff to get a reaction from the crowd. But a TV match, you have to, do certain things that play to the not just the camera, but to the fans as well. Otherwise, it may not go off the way you want it to. And that's the big difference. So a lot of these NXT folks, a lot of them came from other sports, a lot of them came from the independent scene, and so they're having to learn that sort of thing. That's why you have like main roster folks like Taker, like Cena, like Rock, like Bailey, like A Town Down Under coming down there, because they can help these young wrestlers to develop the skills that they need to be successful in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just looking ahead here to try to figure out where I'm going to send off our raid here because we're going to end pretty soon. Just trying to decide between whether or not we want to do music. There's a couple of different people that I was looking at over there. Champ, do you have anybody that you'd like to raid? I'll give you the option.
No. Uh, I'm tired because I did my podcast, and then I literally had like 20 minutes or so to chill out for a little bit before I got on this one. That's why I didn't make any tea or anything. I'm drinking water, and I don't know what's going on with me and my bladder. Every hour I'm having to go to the restroom, so I'm just like, that's why I left while Arun was talking. So I had to really go to the restroom, and I'm just ready to go
Okay.
to bed.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm just checking out a couple of things real fast just to decide. Maybe we'll go visit our friend Potchfat. He does digital art, which is kind of cool, a little bit different. I'm gonna start the raid over to there, and then let me see. Does this work? Raid Potchfat. It's gonna craft a message for us. That'll be fun. Paint that play, Potchfad. We're rushing from the sports arena to your digital canvas, ready to get some epic graffiti plays. Turn those highlights into street art. Um, Cool. All right, I'm gonna grab this one. So I have a new bot. If people don't realize, the thing that's posting as me is not always me. I have a bot that now can use AI to craft fun messages and do shout outs and things like that for us when people raid and give gifts and things like that. So trying out some new stuff. You can grab one of those raid calls if you'd like. And if you want to grab the classic one, you can do that as well. Potfad's really cool. Definitely check out all the No Spots content. SportsOTHP.com, click on the podcast partners button. No Spots podcast is there. We'll definitely be back in 2 weeks. And so I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And I'll let you say your final goodbye.
Hokigenyo. Sayonara. See you Friday.
All right. Enjoy it. No Spots on Friday. Go give Champ a follow. If you're not, we'll be back in 2 weeks, taking President's Day weekend off. We're heading over to Potfed now. We will see you